Hello friends, welcome to Legg Life. My name is Adam, and you guys know I start a lot of these videos by saying things like, these are my favorite kind of videos to make, or I'm excited about today's video, I love making this kind of video. But today, none of those are true. I wish I did not have to make this video. This video is one that I just completely am not excited to make, because today we're talking about the new cruise ship ban that the Canadian government just announced. We're going to talk about the extension of that. We're going to talk about what that means right here for my home state of Alaska, as well as maybe some ways that we can help. So it was announced yesterday that the Canadian government is actually not allowing cruise ships, large passenger vessels of over 100 people, to dock at Canadian ports until February of 2022. They actually extended that out an entire year. Now that was supposed to come up and expire later this month. And so some people had hope that that would expire or maybe be extended a little bit, but that possibly the Alaska cruise season could still happen this year. But by extending that an entire year, essentially what that does is kills the entire 2021 Alaska cruise season. Now, I haven't made any videos talking about my thoughts about when Disney Cruise is going to come back or speculation around that stuff. And the reason I haven't is that it's exactly what I just said. It's all speculation at this point. Right? None of us have had any inside information or tips. It really is just our best guesses. And so rather than doing that, I wanted to wait until we had actual information. Well, unfortunately, the information we got yesterday was kind of worst case scenario, honestly. It was far worse than I expected. My hope was that maybe the last half of the Alaska cruise season would be able to happen this year. But again, that extension into February of 2022 essentially kills that. Now, I'm going to talk about what the heck this all means. We've received a lot of questions from people over the last 24 hours on Facebook and on Instagram saying, Adam, isn't it possible just to completely bypass Canada? Like, if they're going to not allow ships there, can't we have cruises sail from Seattle up to Alaska, bypassing Canada and saving the tour season? But the problem with that is the Passenger Vessel Services Act. Now, a lot of times you've heard people, and I think I've even said it, talk about the Jones Act. The Jones Act does oversee some maritime transit, however, not when it comes to people. That is where the Passenger Vessel Services Act comes into play. And what that act says is that if a ship is not built in America and flagged in America, then it has to stop in a foreign port. Now, there are obviously a lot of cruise lines, but I'm just going to use Disney as an example because obviously that's the one we know best. None of the Disney ships are built in America, but also none of the Disney ships are flagged in America. They're all flagged in the Bahamas. So Disney, according to this act, could not even bypass Canada. They would have to stop in Canada. And essentially that's true for all of the large cruise lines. So really, as long as this act is in place and Canada isn't allowing ships in, that, again, like I said earlier, kills the 2021 cruise season, not just for Alaska, but I know for New England as well. So what can possibly happen? And then what are the impacts on the state of Alaska? Well, I suppose that there is maybe a small chance that the Passenger Vessel Services Act could have like a temporary pause or a temporary hold. I don't know how likely that is to happen. However, that is one option. If that happened and foreign flagged and foreign built ships didn't have to stop in a foreign port, then possibly we could see sailings from Seattle or from another Western US port up to Alaska for the season. Again, I have no clue how realistic that is. I have no clue how possible that is. I don't even know if there is like a movement that is started to see that happen. So at this point, knowing what we know, knowing that Canada's not allowing large cruise vessels until February of 2022, the cruise season here in Alaska this year is dead. And when I saw that headline come through my Twitter feed, my heart sank, because I read the headline and I knew what it meant. I knew what it meant not just for cruise lines, I knew what it meant for so many towns and so many businesses and so many families right here in Alaska. And it just like, I almost felt like a lump in my throat because of emotion, knowing the ramifications of something like this. See, our state really survives on just a few things, oil being one of them and tourism being another one. You know, in 2019, before all this happened, I think the number was about 1.4 million visitors came to Alaska during the summer cruise season. That's 1.4 million people. Last year, less than 50. Not less than 50,000, not less than 5,000, less than 50. That is that is a staggering number, because it's not just the cruise industry that impacts. Every town that those ships pull into, all of those businesses, all of those restaurants, all of those small mom and pops that are owned by families who live in those towns year round, just saw a huge amount of their income go away. But it's not just our Southeast Alaska cruise towns, because one of the things that happens here in Alaska is that there's a lot of cruises where people will cruise to Alaska and then they will spend more time exploring the rest of the state. And so it's all of the car rentals, the hotels, the restaurants, the gift shops, the businesses all around the state of Alaska that are going to feel the ripple of this. Now, we felt the ripple last summer. And I heard from a lot of friends in the tourism business who said, well, first of all, if I can survive losing the 2020 tour season, I really need the 2021 season to be strong to help us make it through. And then we get news that the 2021 season is gone as well. And so my heart, again, just like sinks for these businesses and for these people and for these communities as they just lost the largest part of the income for their towns, for their businesses, for their families, essentially overnight. So I spent all day today. Like, this has been the thing that has been on my mind. You guys know I spent over a decade of my life working in the tourist industry here in Alaska. We have friends who own these businesses. We have friends who just got this news and their heart sank just as mine did, because they're now wondering, how do they pay bills? How do they make mortgages? How do they keep businesses afloat? How do they keep employees on? And so I've been thinking all day today about what can we do to help? Like, what in the world can we possibly do? And so there's two things that I've come up with. And here's my philosophy or my approach to these kind of things. I think that when you see a need, and this isn't just something of this magnitude, it's kind of anything. When you see a need, you look at the resources you have and say, okay, where can I help meet that need? And there's a couple things that Sherri and I are going to do. Number one, Sherri and I, again this year, are going to spend the majority of our money traveling and exploring our own state. In fact, we've made the decision that this is the summer we're going to go to Juneau, we're going to go to Ketchikan, we're going to go to Sitka, we're going to go to those Southeast Alaska cruise towns that are not going to have cruise visitors yet again. And we're going to go and we're going to spend our money, and we're going to eat in the restaurants and stay in the hotels and buy stuff from local shops. Now, I know that it doesn't replace the 1.4 million cruise visitors, but maybe it helps a little. And so we are going to take our money and our focus and direct it right here again this summer on our own state. And the next thing I'm going to ask, would some of you consider visiting Alaska this year as independent travelers? Now, maybe you've been planning an Alaska cruise and that perhaps for the second year in a row has been put off. I would still let you know that you can still come to Alaska and you can have an unbelievable vacation and you can make memories and see things that you will never, ever forget. Now remember, last summer, we lost our tourist season as well. And you guys will remember we had our friend Auburn who actually came up here and visited and stayed with us all summer. And we got to go out and experience so much of Alaska, even when things were closed down because of COVID. And so if you were wondering if Alaska is still worth visiting, I would say absolutely. The reality is that in 2021, you can come to Alaska and you can go on whale cruises, you can go to museums, you can see animals, you can go on hikes, you can see glaciers, you can see rivers, you can see bears, you can see moose, you can see all of the things that make Alaska so special, so wonderful, such a bucket list place. Like, those things are still here. And not only are they still here, the businesses that help support all of that stuff probably need you more this year than they ever have before. So would you consider an Alaska vacation? Now, I know we're still in the middle of COVID and there are some travel regulations as far as coming to Alaska. Currently, at the time of filming this, you need a negative COVID test to come up here. But once you get here, you guys, a lot of our state is open and a lot of these businesses really, really need you to show up. They really need you to spend their money. They really need you to come enjoy this unbelievable state, because to be quite honest, I don't know how a lot of our businesses, I don't know how a lot of these families could possibly make it with another lost season if individual people don't respond and show up. So come to Alaska. Like, still book that dream vacation. If Alaska's been on your bucket list, like, now's the time. There's going to be less people. Yes, some of the hours on certain things may not be as long and some of the things might not be open, but as somebody who has lived here since I was 3 years old, and as somebody who's spent over a decade in the tourism industry, I am promising you, you can still have a vacation that you will not forget for the rest of your life, even with cruises not coming here. And the next thing that we're doing to try to help is I've actually already started reaching out to businesses and individuals in areas of our state that are really impacted by this. So businesses in southeast towns like Juneau, Ketchikan, and Sitka, but then businesses along the road system as well, where cruise visitors would go and enjoy this state. And over the next several weeks and over the next several months, I actually want to expose some of those businesses to you, because maybe you can't come to Alaska, but maybe you can go online and place an order and buy something from their business, buy something from their shop, spend some money with them, have it shipped to you. Goodness knows we're all online shopping like crazy anyway, right? I know that Sherri and I are, that's for sure. And so maybe you can't come to Alaska, but maybe you can still spend money to support our businesses that are here. So we're gonna be posting that information on Facebook, on Instagram. We'll be making videos about it right here. I'm gonna be making videos over the next couple of months talking about some itineraries that I think you could do if you're still planning an Alaska trip here in 2021. Some of the things that are still open, some of my very favorite things in this entire state that you can still go do this year. This state is not closed. Tourism in Alaska is not shut down. The cruise industry may be, but this is still one of the most beautiful places in the entire world. And all of the natural beauty that people think of when they think of Alaska is still here. It's open, it's ready, it is waiting. And so as one Alaskan, I'm asking our community to help. Now again, I know this can't replace a lost cruise season, but I also know that over the last 5 years, I have seen our Legg Life community do some pretty crazy things. Like, you guys have bought hundreds and hundreds of items from Sherri and my Etsy shop. You've spent thousands of dollars supporting us. I've seen you guys pay off medical bills for people. I've seen 160 of you guys spend over $150,000 to join us on the Legg Life Viewer Cruise. So even though we don't have the biggest community on YouTube, even though we can't replace an entire cruise season, I'm completely confident that we as a community can help. We can make a dent in this. You know, our channel gets about 100,000 views per month is where we're at right now. And the reality is that if a small percentage of us every month would be intentional about one purchase from an Alaska business, from a store in a town that is impacted by this, then it helps. You know, over the last year, we have heard a lot about essential and non-essential employees and jobs, but here's what I promise you, that for the families and the people who just got news that their industry is shut down for a second year in a row, that income that they're losing feels pretty essential. Like, this is a big deal to them. It's a big deal to our state. And so friends, I've been thinking about how in the heck we can help, and that's what I've come up with. We are gonna do our best here on our channel to expose you to as much of our state as we can over the next several months. We're going to show you more of Alaska, I hope, than we ever have before. We're going to show you new places in Southeast Alaska that you haven't seen, places that Sherri's never been either, places that I haven't been in a number of years. But for some of you guys, maybe this is the year that you do get to come to Alaska. Maybe you get to come here and you get to enjoy this unbelievable state. You get to spend money here, you get to support business here, and you get to be a lifeline for locals who are wondering, how in the heck do I make it through another year? Friends, what a terrible video to have to make. Like, I absolutely wish I didn't have to make this. But as somebody who really loves this state, and as somebody who really loves our tourism industry, and as somebody who really believes that Alaska is the kind of place that every person in the entire world should see with their own eyes and experience with their own life, I had to do this. I had to talk about it because I knew that when I saw that headline that no cruises for another year in Canada, I knew what that meant. I started to sympathize with the pain of friends who were getting that news at the same time and realizing what that meant for them and for their families. And so I saw that need, I saw that issue. I said, what the heck can we do to help? And the reality is that what we're going to do is we're going to share our platform right here, right? It's one of the resources we have. We're going to spend our money as Sherri and I travel around the state. We're going to encourage you guys to visit Alaska, come up here, hang out with us, travel around Alaska, make memories. But then also, as we expose you to some of the local Alaskan businesses, spend your money and support them. I know times are tough for a lot of us right now, but the reality is that there are towns and there are businesses that won't make it if we don't step up and if we don't support them. So friends, that's my challenge to us. It's my challenge to you. It's my challenge to us as a community. You guys know I love you. I'm excited to make happier, fun videos in the future, but this is the kind of thing I've been wrestling with it all day, and finally I was like, you know what, I have to make this. Like I have to make this. I have to do whatever I can to try to help. So I love you guys. And I'm sorry for so many of you who got news today that your cruises are canceled, that your family vacations are canceled, that memories you were looking forward to making are canceled because of the shutdown of the cruise season. But you guys, Alaska's still here. and it is still beautiful, and it is still wonderful, and it is still an amazing place to visit. And I hope we get to see you here this year in 2021. Friends, thanks for being a part of the Legg Life community. Thanks for supporting us. Thanks for supporting our channel. Thanks for supporting our amazing state. And we'll see you on the next Legg Life video.